Welcome back to another Roastlog run-through. My name is Lindsay, and today I'm going to go over cupping. So maybe you're cupping samples for purchasing decisions, perhaps you're evaluating your roast as part of a QC check, or maybe you're just looking at delta from spec to optimize production. Whatever the reason, we've developed tools to help you record, manage, and review results while giving you the ability to tie that all back to your roasts, the samples, and the green inventory itself. So heading over to the Roastlog webpage, if your product tier includes cupping, you'll have a cupping tab here. And on that page, we've listed out in reverse chronological order your cupping sessions. So in this case, you have a couple right off the top. The last two were for samples, but before that, there were cupping sessions covering many more coffees. So on the right-hand side, you've got that list. At the top, these are the actions that you can take from within this page. I want to drill down into a couple of these, but I'll just touch on that you can actually create your own cupping forms within Roastlog. We offer one as a template. It's kind of built off of the classic SEA form. There's a library where you can keep all your forms. We've got resources. This includes your World Coffee Research sensory lexicon, the old flavor wheel from World Coffee Research. So here we allow you to manage your own descriptor library. So this is the lexicon that you want to use for your organization to review your coffee. So let's dig a little bit into this. So if I go to view forms, you'll note right off the bat, there's the SEA Classic form that we provide. These are the attributes or the columns within the form that will be included. And as you'd expect, they should look very familiar. But here, you'll notice that I've got a few different examples of custom forms that you can set up for yourself. If I click on one of these and hit edit, after naming your form, you notice that it's very easy to drop attributes into the form builder itself. So right now there are 5 selected, but if I wanted to move, a new one in, I can move one in, or I can take it out. These gray areas just give you a visual representation of what the form would look like when it's all done. You can add a custom attribute if you'd like, just by typing in this field and hitting add. There's a placeholder for your descriptors, a placeholder for defects if you need to record those, and then a placeholder for free text, so some notes. Every cupping form includes a final score as well. So if I head back to the cupping page, you can review what forms you have by just clicking review forms. And like I said, all these forms will be available when you're ready to cup an actual sample or a roasted batch. So let's run through a scenario. Let's say you had a coffee in mind that you had sampled at some point in the past, but you didn't know all the details. So if you knew some attributes, you could actually filter for that. So let's say that the final score was like an 84 plus. You knew who did the cupping, you knew what origin that it came from. If you knew some descriptors or a start end date or or date window, I should say, you could put that in. But let's say this is all you had to go by. And if once you hit go, it would narrow down the list of coffees based on that criteria. So you'll notice right away that rather than just giving you a summary overview of the coffees that were cupped in the session, now it actually includes a list of the actual coffee. So let's say this Broida Estate was the coffee that I was thinking of. I can quickly get a quick scan of what the scores were by just hovering over scores. If I want to go to the session details, I can click on that, and now I see all the coffees that were cupped within that session. And if I go down, here it is, the Honey Broida Estate. So here are the scores, here are the descriptors that were associated with that cupping. Any notes, these are the free text ones that I was mentioning earlier. But if I go and click on this link, it will actually take me out to a detail page. In this case, again, this was a sample. And then this detail page, you get all kinds of information. So not only like the origin, if there were some certifications, but maybe who the sample was being offered by, in this case, Sucafina, maybe some producer details if that was included in there, the cultivar, any physical attribute that you notice, contract details. The spider graph is just generated automatically from the cupping form itself. And this is what we saw on the previous page, but just isolating that specific coffee down. You'll notice at the top here that the coffee's been archived and it's not active. That is generally because once you've sampled the coffee, if it's not something that you immediately want to purchase, you can just go ahead and deactivate it. But you can go in and reactivate it. So I'll do that here to give you an idea of what ultimately you can do with a sample. So from the detailed page for this sample, you could cup it again. You could perform a physical evaluation of the coffee and just grade the coffee. A new form pops up and you can add those details in and link it to the sample itself. But if you want to actually purchase the coffee, just by simply clicking purchase, it will convert this sample to an inventory item and it will show up here on the inventory page and you won't have to re-enter all the details associated with it. So it's kind of a handy way to convert a sample, let's say, to an inventory item. Let's head back over to the cupping page where I can kind of finish off showing you some of the features related to cupping. From here, I want to make sure I show you how we manage descriptors. So there's a descriptor library in the system that allows you to manage a list of descriptors that's available during a cupping session. So everything in this box on the left would appear in a pick list within the cupping format. Why is that relevant? By narrowing this down to actual descriptors held in a library, we can ensure consistency across cupping sessions. So spelling errors or differences in capitalization and things like this don't preclude these coffees from being searched upon and compared. So if this list of descriptors are the ones that are visible during cupping, I want to point out that there are also the ability to add or remove items from that list. So let's say you didn't want alcohol to be in the list. You could simply remove it. Let's say you wanted to add something in like baker's chocolate. I can go ahead and add that to the list. And what you'll notice here, over scrolled, and what you'll notice here then is that it immediately gets added to the list. So the lists that are available that we include are the SEA flavor wheel. This is the original Ted Lingle one from decades ago. The World Coffee Research Sensory Lexicon Library. And then, as I mentioned, you can include one of your own. So you could type whatever you want and make those available to your team. It's a really handy way to narrow down this list into a manageable set of descriptors for your staff. Let's head back to the cupping page. So this again is where all the cupping session details are stored. But then you might ask, how do you initiate a cupping session? Well, that's done one of two ways. From the samples page, you have a list of samples here. If any of these are ones that you want to cup, you go ahead and just click the box next to them and you can click here and that would initiate a cupping session. In this case, those 3 samples can be cupped using any one of the forms that are listed. If you'd prefer to display the sample names rather than the number, you could click that and it's no longer a blind cup. And as you'd expect, you fill out these fields by typing values. The descriptor library is here, so you can add in whatever descriptions apply, defects if that's applicable, and notes here. Once you hit save, a cupping session is saved and that goes into your cupping page. The other place that you can initiate a cupping from is in your inbox. So as a reminder, your inbox is a list of all the batches of coffee that you roasted. So let's say you wanted to take a subset of coffees that you roasted on a given day and perform a cupping. So same thing, you just put check boxes next to those coffees, click cup, and it takes you to that same form. And it's as simple as that. So as you can see, all your cupping forms are connected back to your roasts, your samples, and your inventory. They're all listed here on a single page with the ability to filter that view and to pull up specific coffees that may be of interest to you to purchase, or maybe you're just curious of how you performed over time. As always, thank you so much for being a Roastlog customer. We appreciate your business. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at support@roastlog.com or reach out to us via in-app chat. We hope you're enjoying the product and we look forward to connecting with you soon.